Have you listened to Elfonia recently?
If I've listened? No, I haven't. No, it's been a while.
And how do you look back on those days?
Oh, they are great, really fun days. I mean, now it seems like a whole different era, a whole different life. You know, I've been living in Holland for 6 years, and so yeah. But I have very fond memories of those days. You know, all just making music with friends. Yeah.
And in hindsight, what did you learn from it that you use still now?
A lot, definitely. I think first and foremost that it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication to make it in the music business. Back then we were an independent band trying to make our way, trying to get our music to reach as many people as possible. And we had a sort of, well, it's a very experimental, very non-commercial genre that we made back then. So it was a challenge. And yeah.
The music that you made, do you, well, you haven't listened to it recently, but what are your memories about it?
Well, it was very, very free, actually. It was mostly, for me, it always has been about expressing as much emotion as possible. And we had a group of musicians that had all different kinds of influences, and we had a rhythm bass that was very jazz influenced, that always triggered to go in a certain direction. So it ended up very fusion-ish, which was really great. So it was always nice to see how a song would evolve with that group of people.
And can you still recall the day that you got in contact with Arjen?
Yeah, sure, I remember. Well, first and foremost, a friend of mine told me that Arjen was looking for singers through the internet, and to give someone unknown the chance to sing on one of his Arjen albums. And I suggested I send a CD, and I did. And then I remember very clearly that when I saw his email, he sent me an email, and he told me that, oh, I really like your voice, music's great, I got goosebumps all over, and I want you to try some songs to see if maybe I can pick you for the album. So it was like, wow.
But did you know him? Did you know his music?
Yeah, I did. I had already been listening to a lot of music, European metal and that kind of stuff for a few years, and I actually knew him because of The Gathering, because I really liked The Gathering back then, and Anneke she sung on one of his albums. And then I went to this metal store, and this guy made me listen, like, oh, listen to this, and it was Into the Electric Castle. Oh, yeah. And Anneke was singing there. I was like, oh, what is this? So ever since I've been listening to his music.
I don't want to talk about every album in detail, but maybe you can give a quick thought about the album, Embrace the Storm. But it was, of course, the first album with Arjen. What are your thoughts on the album?
Yeah, I like it. That was also one of those experiences where, because we were writing it, through the internet. I was still living in Mexico, and he was writing all here from Holland. It was always very exciting to see what would happen. He would send me an idea, and I would send an idea back, and that communication always, it was a little bit of surprises every time to see where a song would end up going. For both of us, I think. But it was cool.
And well, for you then it took you 4 years to record the second album, The Flame Within.
Yeah.
What did you do in those 4 years?
Well, a big part of the time we were still touring. That was when Arjen was still in the band. And then, at the beginning it was an Arjen Lucas project. It was never really meant to be, something long term. But after he decided to leave the band, then the rest of us, we thought like, well, it would be a shame for us to stop now. So we went through this whole process of finding new musicians to replace, those that had left, and getting our vibe going, writing songs. It was a whole new beginning, actually, because Arjen, of course, did a lot of the songwriting on the first album, and on the second album I took a lot of that responsibility. So for me it was also, exciting.
Why did you decide to stick to the name?
Well, I think the music, even though on the first album, even though it was a lot of Arjen, it was also a lot of me. And he did, approach the whole promotion aspect of the band to always focus on me. So for that matter, we thought, well, why not?
Yeah.
And we got his blessing. So.
But was he involved in all of those albums that came after the first one?
No, not at all.
And what did he tell you about? Well, for example, The Flame Within.
He liked it. He liked it. We have this thing that whenever we have a new album ready, we drop by and let him listen. So he's still a little bit of the godfather of the band, I suppose. And for me, it was very interesting, very exciting to see what he would think, and he really liked it back then. He was very enthusiastic about it, so that was nice. That was nice to have that reassurance.
I was thinking, well, if you look to the song titles, I mean the album titles, the second, third, and fourth album, it tells a little bit about the state that the band is in. Do you agree? The Flame Within, well, you have to restart again.
Yeah.
You have to, and then the third album, Darker Days. Were you in Darker Days back then? Yeah, I was. Looking back, I had to just recently move to Holland because The Flame Within, I still wrote, we still wrote a little bit through the internet. I was still living in Mexico and the rest of the band was here. And then I moved to Holland and I had a very long period of readjustment. I had to get used to the weather. I'm from Mexico, so that's a big difference, and the winter for me especially, it was a big shock. I really got very depressed, the short days, the really long nights, the fact that you didn't see the sun for quite a long time. So those were definitely, more difficult days for me. It was hard to get the inspiration going and, get things in motion. So it definitely reflects the state where I was in back then. So you really need nice weather and the sun to write too.
Yeah, the sun. I never realized how. Well, basically, I'm more used to it now. I've been living in Holland for almost 6 years, and this is my home now, and I can find myself, in peace with the winter and everything. But it does have a very big influence on your mood, on how you feel, and I think even on the way how people are. I have this weird theory that it also influences, the overall, the overall way that people are. I mean, isn't it funny that places where it's sunnier, when the weather is warmer, that people are a little bit more extrovert, for instance. Anyway.
No,
I got my used to it right now, so that's nice.
But share your thoughts. What are then for you? Well, the biggest differences between the people in Holland and the people in Mexico, for example?
Well, in my opinion, this is of course my very personal, subjective perspective, but I think my overall conclusion is that people in Holland take everything a little bit more serious than Mexican people. We go by, we work, kinda, and then we, party, kinda. But the Dutch really take everything seriously. So if you go to work, then you work, and if you go to party, then you party. So it's always, I don't know, a little bit more structured, a little bit more, sticking a little bit more to the rules or so.
And how do you get your inspiration nowadays?
Now I got the feeling that I got my vibe back. So I'm able to just pick up stuff that's happening and do something with it. That's something that at the time of Darker Days, for a little while, I couldn't do. But now, well, basically grabbed inspiration from a lot of things. What's going on in Mexico, for instance, with the drug wars and all the horrible things that have been happening because of that. And situations that we go through, situations that friends and relatives go through. So.
Yeah.